walked into my house and saw a red folder sitting on the table. My name was written on it in bold letters. I opened it and felt my blood run cold. Bank statements, a signed divorce petition. A final note at the bottom read, "You're single now. Congrats." I walked into my apartment after a long day at work, expecting nothing but silence and maybe some leftovers in the fridge. But the second I stepped inside, I felt something was off. The air was heavy. The kind of heavy that settles before a storm. Then I saw it. A red folder sat in the middle of the kitchen table. My name was written across the front in thick, black marker. The handwriting was neat, deliberate. At first, I thought it was something from work that I had absent-mindedly brought home. But I never used red folders. And why would my name be written on it like that? I stepped closer. My hands were shaking before I even touched it. I flipped it open. And my stomach dropped. Inside was a collection of documents. A stack of them, crisp, freshly printed. Right on top were bank statements, ones I recognized but hadn't paid much attention to before. But as my eyes moved down the page, I saw transactions I couldn't explain. Hotel stays. Expensive dinners. Charges at places I had never been. Then, the photos. Photos of her. Photos of him. Some taken inside a restaurant. Some in a hotel lobby. One in a car, our car. At the bottom of the stack, clipped neatly together, was a signed divorce petition. A note, written in the same clean handwriting, read, "You're single now. Congrats." I don't remember how long I stood there, staring at the folder, the photos, the proof. My hands felt numb. My chest felt hollow. I tried to take a deep breath, but the room felt smaller. My own home felt foreign. It was like watching my life unravel in real time. Her name is Natalie. We've been together for 9 years, married for 6. She was the kind of person who could walk into a room and make everyone feel like they'd known her forever. The kind who remembered barista names, sent thank you texts for the smallest things, and could talk to strangers like they were old friends. When we met, I thought she was the best thing that had ever happened to me. We met at a coffee shop just outside Millennium Park. It was one of those cold, gray Chicago mornings, and I was running late for work. I spilled my coffee all over my shirt, and she handed me napkins, laughing. I was embarrassed, but she just shook her head and said, "Bad luck. You need a do-over." A week later, I saw her again at the same coffee shop. This time, I offered to buy her coffee. One date turned into 2, then 3. Within a year, we were living together. For a long time, I thought we had something solid. We built a life together. Made plans. Talked about starting a family. But now I was standing in our kitchen, staring at a stack of papers that said none of it had meant anything. And the worst part? I hadn't seen it coming. I should have noticed the signs. She had been distant lately. Not in an obvious, dramatic way, but in small ways. Her phone, once left lying around without a second thought, was suddenly always locked. She'd tilt the screen away when she texted. She started staying late at work more often. First, it was once or twice a month. Then it became a weekly thing. Then it was multiple times a week. Her stories started getting inconsistent. One day she'd say she got drinks with coworkers. The next time she told the story, it was dinner with an old friend. When I asked questions, she'd brush them off with a quick kiss and a change of subject. I told myself I was overthinking it. That I was being paranoid. I wasn't. And now, someone else had laid it all out for me in a neat little package. The question was, who? It wasn't Natalie. She wasn't the type to leave behind a mess like this. If she had wanted to end things, she would have done it in person. Or maybe she wouldn't have. Maybe she would have dragged it out, let it crumble on its own. But this? This was too clean. Too final. And then I knew. Elise. Natalie's best friend. Elise never liked me. She tolerated me because I made Natalie happy. But there was always a quiet tension between us. She was blunt, brutally honest in a way that could cut you open. Once, after a few too many drinks, she told me I was too safe. That I didn't challenge Natalie. That she needed excitement, and I was comfortable. At the time, I brushed it off as drunk talk. But now, staring at the folder, I realized Elise had done what Natalie wouldn't. She had given me the truth. I flipped through the documents again, my hands shaking. And then, tucked between the pages, I found a letter. I unfolded it slowly. I wasn't sure if I should tell you. But in the end, I realized you deserved to know. I've known for months. I told Natalie to confess, but she wouldn't. So I did it for her. I won't tell you what to do next. But at least now, you have all the facts. I'm sorry it had to be this way. Elise **** months. She had known for months. I gripped the edges of the letter so tightly my knuckles turned white. The betrayal hit in waves. Natalie had been lying to me. Elise had been lying by omission. And now, I was standing here with nothing but a red folder full of facts that I wasn't ready to process. I don't know how long I stood there, my mind spiraling. Then I heard the door unlock. The sound snapped me back to reality. Natalie walked in, her hair damp from the rain, a brown paper bag in her hands. Probably takeout. Probably from one of our favorite places. She stopped when she saw me. Her eyes flicked to the folder. She knew. Her shoulders tensed. Her fingers clenched around the bag. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then, in a voice so quiet it was almost drowned out by the hum of the fridge, she said, "So. You know. Not, I can explain. Not, this isn't what it looks like. Just a flat confirmation." I waited for something more. But she just exhaled and set the bag down. My pulse pounded in my ears. "Why?" I asked. Her jaw tightened. Her gaze dropped to the floor. For a long moment, she didn't answer. Then, finally, she said, "I don't know." That was it. That was her answer. I should have felt angry. I should have wanted to yell, throw something, demand an explanation. But all I felt was empty. She sat down across from me, her movements slow, careful. Like she was waiting for me to react. She rubbed her temples, let out a hollow laugh. "I didn't plan for it," she murmured. "It just happened." I clenched my jaw. A tired excuse. A meaningless phrase. I thought about every time I had trusted her. Every time I had stayed up waiting. Every morning I kissed her goodbye, believing we were still on the same team. Now, we weren't even in the same game. The silence stretched. She looked up at me then, searching for something in my face. I don't know what she expected to find. And I don't know what happens next. Natalie was still looking at me, waiting. For what, I wasn't sure. Maybe she expected me to scream, to throw the folder at her feet. Maybe she wanted me to storm out, to make it easier for both of us. I didn't do any of those things. Instead, I leaned back in the chair, my fingers pressing into the edges of the folder. The paper inside was still warm, like the truth had just been printed, like it had been waiting for me to walk in and find it. She shifted in her seat. "Say something," she whispered. I swallowed hard, my throat dry. "What do you want me to say?" Her lips parted slightly, but no words came out. She didn't have an answer. That was when I knew, really knew, she had already let go of us a long time ago. I was just catching up. She glanced at the folder again, then back at me. "Where did you get that?" So she really didn't know. Elise hadn't told her. I thought about lying, about keeping that last piece of control for myself. But I was too tired for games. "Elise," I said. Natalie flinched like I had slapped her. She looked away, rubbing her arms like she was suddenly cold. She gave this to you?" I nodded, watching her closely. Her expression flickered with something close to panic, but she forced herself to stay still. "I was going to tell you," she muttered. I didn't know how." I let out a bitter laugh. "Guess she decided for you." She swallowed, her fingers twisting together. She had no right. That got me. I sat up straighter, the sharp edge of anger finally cutting through the numbness. She had no right. My voice was quiet, but it made her flinch again. "And what about you? What right did you have to lie to me for months? To pretend?" She didn't say anything. "Was it just once?" I asked, my voice tightening. "Or was it, ongoing?" Her breath hitched. That was my answer. I nodded slowly, exhaling through my nose. "Right." Natalie shook her head quickly. "I didn't mean for this to happen." Another meaningless phrase. Another way to dodge accountability. I should have stood up. I should have walked out. But something kept me glued to the chair. "Who is he?" She froze. I saw it then. A flicker of something on her face, regret, guilt, maybe even shame. But not surprise. She knew exactly who I meant. She lowered her gaze, and my stomach clenched with an awful, twisting certainty. I already knew the answer. I just needed her to say it. Her voice was barely above a whisper. Ryan. The air in the room went still. Ryan. My best friend. It felt like the world tilted sideways. I could hear my own breathing, too loud, too uneven. My vision blurred at the edges, my heartbeat slamming in my ears. Ryan. The guy I had known since college. The guy who had stood beside me at my wedding. The guy who had crashed on our couch more times than I could count. The guy I trusted. I let out a breathless, humorless laugh. You have got to be kidding me. Natalie winced, but she didn't deny it. I squeezed my eyes shut for a second, trying to process the new wave of betrayal. When I opened them again, she was watching me carefully, like she wasn't sure if I was about to break something. I should have been angry. I should have thrown the nearest object across the room. But I didn't. I just shook my head and laughed again, because what else was there to do? You were cheating on me with Ryan. The words tasted sour. How long? She hesitated. Don't lie to me. She swallowed hard. A year. A full year. I gripped the edges of the table, my nails pressing into the wood. My whole body felt ice cold, like I had been dropped into freezing water. I thought about every single time I had confided in Ryan. Every time I had told him about my doubts, my worries about Natalie pulling away. Every time he had looked me in the eye and told me I was overthinking it. And the entire time, he had been the one behind my back. Natalie cleared her throat. I never wanted to hurt you. That was the moment I snapped. I pushed back my chair so hard it scraped against the floor. Don't, I said sharply. Do not say that. She closed her mouth, pressing her lips together. The room felt too small. The air too thick. Ryan. The name was a weight in my chest, heavy, suffocating. It wasn't just Natalie. It was him, too. I turned away from her, running a hand through my hair. My fingers were shaking. I had no idea what I was supposed to do next. Natalie shifted behind me. Please, she said softly. Can we just, the sound of my phone buzzing on the counter made both of us freeze. I turned my head slowly, my blood running colder when I saw the name on the screen. Ryan. It was like he knew. Natalie inhaled sharply. I reached for the phone. She grabbed my wrist. Don't. I looked at her. Really looked at her. Her face was pale, her eyes wide. She wasn't worried about me. She was worried about him. I yanked my wrist free and picked up the phone. Ryan's voice came through the speaker immediately. Hey, man, listen, I hung up. Then, I turned back to Natalie. And for the first time since walking into the apartment, I felt something stronger than shock. I wanted answers. And I was going to get them. Natalie stood there, frozen, watching me like she wasn't sure what I'd do next. I wasn't sure either. Ryan had just called me. He knew. Knew I had found out. Knew Elise had given me the folder. Or was this just a coincidence? I turned the phone over in my hands. My mind was racing, but my hands were steady now. I was past shock. Past heartbreak. Something sharper had taken its place. You need to leave, I said, my voice low. Natalie's eyes widened. Wait, go. She hesitated, and for a second, I thought she was about to argue. But then she grabbed her coat, her keys, and left without another word. The second the door shut behind her, I exhaled, dragging a hand down my face. The apartment was dead silent. I sat back down at the table, staring at the folder. The photos. The bank statements. The divorce petition. A full year. A year of lying. A year of sneaking around. And Ryan had been smiling in my face the entire time. My phone buzzed again. Ryan. I let it ring. Then, almost immediately, another message came in. Ryan, dude. We need to talk. I stared at the screen, my thumb hovering over the keyboard. Then another text. Ryan, it's not what you think. I laughed. Out loud. A real, bitter laugh. Not what I think. I had photos sitting right in front of me. Receipts. Proof. But still, something about the way he said it, it got under my skin. I should have ignored him. Blocked his number. Instead, I did something I didn't even fully understand. I texted back. Me, then tell me what it is. 3 dots appeared. Then stopped. Then appeared again. Then finally, Ryan, not over text. Can we meet? I stared at the message for a long time. Meeting Ryan in person was the last thing I wanted to do. But at the same time, I needed something. Answers. Closure. Something to make this make sense. Because deep down, something still wasn't adding up. I texted back. Me, where? We met at a bar on the north side of Chicago. A place we had been to a dozen times before. Ryan was already there when I walked in, sitting in a booth near the back. His leg bounced under the table, and he looked up the second I entered. For the first time in my life, I hated looking at him. He stood up slightly. Hey, man, don't. I sat down across from him, arms crossed. Talk. Ryan swallowed hard. His hands curled into fists on the table. He looked like he was bracing himself. Then he let out a breath. I didn't want this to happen. I clenched my jaw. If he said it just happened, I was walking out. I swear to you, Ryan continued, his voice quiet. I didn't mean for any of this to go this far. I exhaled sharply through my nose. And yet, it did. He ran a hand over his face. I was going to tell you. I almost did, when I cut him off. After a year. Or were you going to wait until I found out on my own? His face twisted. You think I wanted this? You think I wanted to betray you? I laughed coldly. You sure did a great job of it. Ryan hesitated. He looked down at the table. I know you hate me, he murmured. I deserve that. I waited. But there's something else you don't know. I didn't move. His fingers drummed against the table. He looked up, and his face had changed. The regret was still there, but something else too. Something like fear. I felt my stomach tighten. What? Ryan exhaled slowly, like he was debating whether to say it. Then, finally, he said, she wasn't just seeing me. I blinked. What? Ryan leaned forward. His voice was low. Natalie. She wasn't just with me. My brain stuttered. What the hell are you talking about? Ryan's jaw tensed. I don't know who else. But it wasn't just me. I just stared at him. My mind was already rejecting it. No. No, that didn't make sense. Natalie had cheated. Lied. That much I knew. But multiple people? Bullshit, I said, shaking my head. Ryan's mouth pulled into a grim line. You think I'm lying? I didn't answer. He let out a slow breath. You think I wanted to find out I wasn't the only one? Something in his voice made my skin crawl. I leaned back. Why are you telling me this? Ryan's throat bobbed. He looked away for a second before answering. Because I thought I meant something to her. A cold, sick feeling spread through me. Ryan, my best friend, the guy I had trusted for years, had been with my wife. He had betrayed me in the worst way possible. And now, he was telling me he had been played, too. You're lying, I said. Ryan huffed a dry laugh. I wish I was. I shook my head, trying to push away the noise in my brain. What proof do you have? Ryan reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out his phone. He scrolled for a second, then turned the screen toward me. It was a message thread. Natalie, I can't tonight. I have plans. Ryan, plans? With who? Natalie, why do you care? Ryan, are you seeing someone else? Natalie, Ryan, don't start. Ryan, just tell me. Natalie, it's not your business. I felt the floor shift under me. I looked up at Ryan, my pulse hammering. When was this? Ryan's face was tight. Last month. My fingers curled into fists under the table. My brain was scrambling. Trying to make sense of it. She had been lying to both of us. Maybe more than just us. And suddenly, for the first time since I had found that folder, I realized, I didn't know who the hell I had been married to. Ryan and I sat in the booth, both of us staring at the text messages. The air between us felt thick, suffocating. The realization sat heavy on my chest. Natalie hadn't just betrayed me. She had betrayed him, too. And maybe others. I clenched my jaw, my knuckles whitening against the table. So you're telling me, I said slowly, that while you were sneaking around behind my back, thinking you were the only one, she was doing the same thing to you? Ryan exhaled, rubbing his face with both hands. Yeah, he muttered. Yeah, man. That's what I'm telling you. A bitter laugh left my lips before I could stop it. Guess you didn't mean as much to her as you thought, huh? Ryan flinched. But I didn't care. He had helped destroy my marriage, and now he wanted my sympathy. No. I pushed away from the table and stood up. I'm done here. Ryan reached for my wrist. Wait, I yanked away. Don't touch me. People were starting to look. A few heads turned toward us, sensing the tension. But I didn't care. Let them watch. Let them see the mess unravel in real time. Ryan's face twisted, desperation creeping in. Listen, I know I messed up, all right. I screwed up. But I swear to you, I didn't know she was, save it, I snapped. You think that makes it better? That she lied to you, too? He opened his mouth, but I didn't let him answer. You're not the victim here, Ryan. Neither am I. The only difference is I didn't have a choice in this. You did. And you still stabbed me in the back. His shoulders sagged. He knew I was right. I turned and walked out of the bar, feeling his eyes on me the whole way. I should have gone home. Instead, I found myself driving, streets blurring past, the city lights streaking across the windshield. I wasn't sure where I was going until I pulled up outside Natalie's office. Her car was there. My hands tightened on the wheel. I shouldn't do this. Not here. Not like this. But then I saw her. Through the glass lobby doors, she walked out, coat draped over her arm, phone in hand, completely unaware that I was parked just across the street. Then another figure stepped out behind her. A man. Tall. Dark hair. Someone I didn't recognize. Natalie smiled at him. That soft, easy smile that used to belong to me. I felt something inside me crack. I threw open my car door and crossed the street before I could stop myself. Natalie. She turned at the sound of my voice. Her eyes widened. What are you, who's this? I cut her off, my gaze flicking to the man beside her. The guy shifted uncomfortably. I should go, yeah, I said, leveling him with a glare. You should. He hesitated, glancing at Natalie. She gave him a quick nod, and he hurried off, disappearing around the corner. She turned back to me, arms crossing over her chest. What the hell was that? You tell me. She rolled her eyes. Are we really doing this here? In front of my office? I let out a sharp breath, shaking my head. Unbelievable. She glanced over her shoulder, making sure no one was watching. Look, I get that you're upset. I laughed. Ryan just told me everything. Said you weren't just with him. That there were others. Her face went pale. She blinked fast, like she was processing the fact that I knew. You're lying, she whispered. Am I? I pulled out my phone, opened the messages, and held the screen up for her to see. Explain this. Her mouth opened, but no words came out. Then she did something I didn't expect. She laughed. Not loudly. Not in amusement. But a dry, humorless chuckle. I stared at her. What the hell is wrong with you? She sighed, rubbing her temple. Ryan's an idiot. Yeah, I said, he is. And so are you if you think I'm walking away from this without answers. She swallowed, looking away. Fine, she muttered. Yes. There were others. Something inside me twisted. How many? She hesitated. My stomach churned. Say it. 3, she admitted. Including Ryan. I took a step back like she had physically struck me. 3. It wasn't just an affair. It wasn't just a mistake. This was a pattern. A choice. My hands curled into fists. Why? Natalie exhaled, shaking her head. I don't know. You don't know. She rubbed her arms like she was cold. I was unhappy, okay? But I didn't want to leave. I don't know. I laughed bitterly. So you thought instead of being honest, you'd just destroy everything behind my back. She looked at me then. Really looked at me. And for the first time, I saw something genuine in her eyes. Not guilt. Not regret. Just exhaustion. You would have never left me, she said quietly. The words hit me like a freight train. You were safe, she continued. Predictable. I knew you'd never leave. So I didn't have to choose. My chest tightened, the final piece of the puzzle clicking into place. She didn't love me. Not in the way I had loved her. I had been her safety net. Her stability. And she had taken advantage of that until she had no choice but to let go. Something inside me finally broke. I took a slow breath and nodded. You're right, I said. I wouldn't have left you. Natalie exhaled, like she had won something. But you're wrong about one thing. She frowned. I stared straight into her eyes. I'm leaving now. Her expression faltered. For the first time since this all started, I saw something new in her face. Panic. I turned and walked away. She didn't call after me. She didn't chase me. And that told me everything I needed to know. The divorce was finalized 6 months later. Natalie tried to reach out a few times, but I ignored her. Ryan never contacted me again. Elise texted once, just a simple "I hope you're okay." I never responded. I found a new place. Got rid of every trace of our old life. I thought about what Natalie had said that night outside her office. You would have never left me. She had been right. Until she wasn't. I learned something about myself through all of this. I had been holding on to something that wasn't real for a long time. And now I was finally free.